welcome to Bibarel Turbo. Today we're in a difficult widely equipped featuring the new Unown VSTAR from Silver Tempest with a Star Cipher attack, giving it an ability that turns all of opponent's Pokemon weak to a Psychic as long as its Pokemon stays in play. We're also playing the new Mawile VSTAR from the same set with the Sudden Eater attack, doing 90 base damage for 2 colorless, plus 90 more if this Pokemon moves from your bench to the active spot on this turn. We're not planning on using its V-Star power unless our opponent is playing a fighting type, since we want to be using our Star Cipher for us to do twice as much damage with Mawile's attack. It's still important to know what it does though, just in case you might need it. So Star Rondo actually helps you do a cross-switcher effect, switching one of your opponent's bench Pokemon with their active, while at the same time switching this Pokemon if it is on your bench with your active, and that means you can only use this ability if Mawile is on your bench. To help us attack with Star Cipher and Sun Eater, we have 4 Double Turbo and 2 Melanie with 5 basic Water Energy. We're also playing our Radiant Gardevoir with Lake Acuity to help us tank more damage with Unown VSTAR, helping it survive a hit immediately after using its V-Star power. And that allows us to retreat on the next turn, keeping it safe on the bench from getting boss or damage with Leafy, Camo, Poncho, and Manaphy. This helps us stay in play for the entire game for us to use this ability to double up Mawile's attack power. And since we need to keep Unown's ability active throughout the entire game, we have to think about ways to counter Path to the Peak. And for that, we have 2 Lake Acuity and 1 Worker to help us discard a Stadium in play, while also drawing 3 cards into our hand. For the draw spot, we have 3 Bibarels, 2 Serena, 2 Melanie, and 1 Bird Keeper, in addition to our Worker. We also have our regular items for the setup, 1 Drapion V to counter Mew VMAX, 1 Miltank against Lake Acuity matchups, 1 Escape Rope, 1 Switch, 1 Air Balloon, and 1 Bird Keeper for the Switch, and 1 Ordinary Rod to shuffle back our Pokemon and energies. So that's all for the deck list. Now let's go for some gameplay! Okay, let's go for our first game versus Mewtwo VSTAR. And they got Clefairy for the energy as well. So instead of playing Lunatone Solrock, they're using the Moonlight ability to get more energies into play. And they can even attack with Clefairy, let's not forget. But it's not doing a lot of damage though compared to Lunatone. Lunatone is doing way more damage than Clefairy, because if you are playing an evolution in addition to your Clefairy basic, you actually need a lot less. You can't actually fit in that many copies of your basic energy. If you play too many energies, you're not going to get your evolution. You're not going to be able to use Mewtwo VSTAR at all. And if you want to attack with Psy Purge, you need to be adding cards like, you know, Choice Belt. They have Choice Belt as well. You need to be adding supporter cards, and adding way more consistency card to make sure Mewtwo gets to be played early. And that actually means you can't have that many copies of your Psychic Energy to do that much damage with Clefairy anymore. That's why Lunatone is much better. But Clefairy actually doesn't require the discard though. You're not required to discard your energy if you play Clefairy. All you need to do is bench it fast and do your ability, search your deck for energy and attach it to your bench Clefairy. So that's all you need to do, switch a lot of times. You just need a single switch though. But you still need the energy switch. So energy switch on Mewtwo VSTAR, because it needs 2 Psychic Energy to attack, 1 Psychic, 1 colorless, my bad. But there's no other way to charge up the Mewtwo except Melanie, and if you play Melanie, you actually can't, it doesn't really work because you need Psychic Energy for Clefairy, Lunatone. Okay, we're gonna get something with Serena. I think we're just gonna discard the Rod here. So always keep your Stadium card in your hand, because you never know if they have a Path. Path to the Peak is really, really nasty. We don't actually have a Worker for this game, or any games in this video for that matter. We have Marnie instead. So Marnie helps you draw a lot more cards than Worker. But I think Worker has a lot more value, because if they play Path to the Peak, you get to discard it before drawing 3 cards, which is a big plus, because if they play way too many Path to the Peaks, then we're done for. If they have that Stadium, more likely than not, they're going to play it early. They're definitely going to do Path to the Peak early to block off your Radiant Greninja, Radiant abilities. We have Gardevoir. They can still block off that ability. So if they block your ability fast, they can deny you from using Crobat, Lumineon V. They can deny you from using your Star Birth. If they have the Path to the Peak, they should be playing it early. I guess our opponent would want to play it early as well. And if they do, we have our Worker to discard it fast. So it doesn't really matter when we play the Worker. As long as, if they have a lot of copies, then we should be fine. That's why I say always be watchful of your Stadium. Do not play your Stadium unless they have a Path to the Peak in play. right? Always keep the stadium in your hand unless you know they're gonna do a knockout without the Lake Acuity. So if you know they have like enough damage to kill off the Unown, if you need the damage boost, if you need the defense buff, then you should be playing the Lake Acuity just for its effect instead of to remove Path to the Peak, because that is still something we need to think about at all times, because Path to the Peak is going to destroy Unown VSTAR. That's why we need a lot of cards to get past that, to counter that. So they just did Star Raid. That means we need to get a second Unown into the game and charge up the next one, which is terrible because that means they're delaying. They are, you know, slowing us down by a whole extra turn, and we just wasted a Camo Poncho on the first Unown, which is horrible. So we can't evolve this one yet. We can force them to discard more energies though, but I don't think it matters much. So they just need one energy discard, don't they? It's quite weird that they discarded 2 energy. You'll see on the next turn. They have a choice belt, so 90 damage is actually enough. 90 damage, but we have a Gardevoir. I guess they actually calculated it wrong. They forgot that they have a choice belt. So they would have actually done 70 damage on our Unown, which is not enough to knock it out if we don't, if they don't have a choice belt. But they do have a choice belt, that means they're doing 100 damage for 1 discard. We got a double turbo, and make sure you're aware not to use Mawile's ability. Mawile is gonna tempt you into using Star Rondo. Do not use that ability. If you use Star Rondo, you cannot play Star Cypher. Remember that. No Star Cypher if you do Star Rondo. Okay, we're gonna do the V-Star. We're gonna attack with the V-Star right now. They need the energy. Well, they need to switch twice though, don't they? I think now is the perfect time to be playing Unown, because if they don't switch twice, they can't attack with the Mewtwo on the same turn, unless if they have like, a Raihan or something. Well, our Raihan doesn't work because we are not knocking them out. We're not doing a knockout this turn, so they need to do a switch retreat with the Clefairy, because the ability only works in the active. So let's hope they don't get their switch cards. They need Air Balloon. Okay, we're gonna play our Melanie, and let's just bench the Mawile right now. So this deck is quite tricky to play, because even if they are doing a knockout fast, we have fast damage as well. If your opponent is playing a fighting type, do not be bothered about Star Cypher at all, because we already have the Psychic Weakness. Might as well just do Star Rondo, and we also have our Mawile to attack fast. If they do one price deck as well, we can hit for 180 damage early game for only a double turbo. 160, my bad. 160, and all we need to do is switch, right? Switch retreat with the Melanie, retreat with the Melanie, and a double turbo from your hand. You got 160 damage in the game to kill off a 1 price early, and that's saying a lot. We got 4 switch cards in his deck, 1 Bird Keeper, 1 switch, 1 escape rope, and 1 Air Balloon. So it's not too bad. Should we attach the double turbo or the water energy? Okay, we're gonna do Star Cypher. And now Mewtwo and all Pokemons in play on our opponent's field is weak towards Psychic type. That means Mawile is doing 320 damage if you do a double turbo on it, because you're doing 20 less before applying weakness and resistance. That means it's doing 160 multiplied by 2, 320 damage with Sudden Eater. Sudden Eater is doing 360 if you play a Melanie with 2. If you have 2 water energy attached to your Mawile, you actually get to do a lot more damage to kill like a Urshifu VMAX or any other VMAX for that matter. 360 is enough to kill anything, right? Unless if they do like a Duraludon with Abomasnow. or like a Leafy VMAX with Krigatune. So we just need 350 damage to kill off a Goodra with one hit. So I think we're good against Goodra. Obviously, we're doing a one-hit knockout, but if they play Gardevoir though, it wouldn't be enough. We would need 370 damage, but we have our, well, our stadium, we're not playing Path to the Peak, my bad. So that means we can't get past Gardevoir's ability. So if they play Gardevoir for Goodra, we're not able to knock out the active with one hit. Unless if we do Escape Ropes Arena. So Goodra is afraid of Escape Ropes. If they play a bench, if they have a support Pokemon on the bench, you can quite easily do a Escape Rope. That's why sometimes Goodra decks have nothing but, you know, they don't play any bench supports. I've seen a few players that does a Goodra deck that only plays, you know, either a Lost Box and then scoop up those confies and then leave the bench blank so that they have nothing but Goodra in the active, so that you can't actually play an Escape Rope and Boss to knock it out, or even a Melanie to charge up for the energy and then, you know, have no Pokemons on the bench. Obviously, once it is close to a knockout, once it's close to dying, they should be benching another Goodra on the bench and then charging up the next one. They actually do have the luxury to wait though. They have the luxury to decide when to play. We don't have our Camo Poncho. Oh my goodness. They have the luxury to slow down to bench their next Goodra late, just because they can tank so much damage. That means they have extra one turn to basically bench it before the active dies. And then on the next turn, they can evolve Melanie, attach. After attaching on the last turn, they got 3 energy on the next, and that means they can do, what's it called again? I forgot the attack. They can tank more damage for the next Goodra. Okay, we got 2 Bibaros in play. I guess this deck is allergic to Avery, because we need Gardevoir, we need Bibarel, and we need Unown as well on the bench. So they just knocked out our second V Pokemon, and now they just need one last V knockout. If they knock out another V Pokemon, we're done. And they didn't get the boss though, so thank God Unown is alive on the bench. That means we just need to dig out our tool card. If we don't get a tool card, it would be quite bad, because that means Unown is gonna get bossed, is gonna get knocked out, and we can't actually kill the Mewtwo with one hit anymore. If we can't knock out the Mew with one hit, the Mewtwo, using Mawile, then we're gonna be in big trouble. We have to play Ultra Ball, we have no choice. We're gonna do the switch first, and then possibly play Ultra Ball to discard the Escape Rope. I don't think we need the Escape Rope. Because we want to be targeting the active right now. They are attacking with nothing but Mewtwo. Clefairy needs 3 energy though. So I don't think it's that easy to attack with Clefairy, because the ability doesn't really work well if you don't play enough switch cards, if you don't have enough switches. And they need Recycler as well, because they're discarding with Research. If you don't switch enough times, you can't attack with Clefairy. Whereas Lunatone is a bit more, you know, you have a lot more breathing space. All you need is enough Soul Rocks and enough turns, and you got enough energy on your Lunatone to attack with Moonlight. What's it called again? Moon Kinesis. A very interesting name for an attack. We got Drapion. Okay, we got the tool card. We got our Camo Poncho attached. So that means Unown is gonna stay alive for a long time. We're gonna be able to protect it from a boss. I think we even have our Leafy Camo Poncho on our active as well. If they do a energy switch this turn though, we're done for. Energy Switch is gonna get them a Psyperch, and Psyperch is gonna knock us out immediately after the Energy Switch. So do they need to recycle the energy? They have so many basic energy in the discard pile. Apparently not, because they just attach 1 from their hand and 2 from the deck. So that's already enough to kill off Mawile, even with the Lake Acuity and Gardevoir buff, because they just need 300 damage, which is exactly what they're doing to knock out our Mawile. Wrong move though, they did Escape Rope. Escape Rope means Mawile is gonna go back into the bench, and it has a Camo Poncho. That means they're not gonna be able to do a boss. Boss is not gonna work on either of our V Pokemons. We have only 2 V-Stars on the bench and no Crobat, no Lumineon for them to collect the final 2 prize. That means they're gonna have to kill 2 1 prizes one at a time, and that's gonna be a bit slower for them. If they kill 1 at a time though, before they collect their final prize, we can actually knock out the Mewtwo with our Mawile on the bench on the next turn. And that means we got 1 prize remaining. They also have 1 prize, but they got no attackers on the next turn. They can't kill anything unless if they do a boss, and then knock out our 1 prize with a Clefairy, which is quite difficult because they have 8 cards left in their deck, and Clefairy needs 3 energy to attack. I keep saying that, but it's not doing a lot of damage as well. 20x damage for each psychic energy attached. So if they don't play enough psychic energy, they may not be able to do the knockout. And we don't have Bidoof anymore. We just evolved the Bidoof. That means it's going to be a lot more difficult to knock out our Pokemon. They need 6 at least psychic energies in play. And they are running out of their switch cards, and they just did a boss. There we go, a boss for no effect, because we have the dual card. So Leafy Camo Poncho is a thing right now, and boss is gonna, you're gonna be immune to boss, which is so fun. I mean, that is the best control ever. If you can counter a boss, any decks that can control boss, that can nullify that crazy card, that crazy effect, is gonna be really powerful. Serena doesn't work as well. Any supporter card has no effect on your V-Star or VMAX with that tool card attached. It only works on V-Star and VMAX, obviously, but it is still a very overpowered tool card. If they play Lost Vacuum or Tool Scrapper, they can quite easily deal with that tool card, so make sure you're aware of that. It's not perfect, obviously. Every single card has its counter. So all your opponent needs is a Tool Scrapper, and then they can play their boss after that to kill for 2 prize. But we actually got saved for 1 turn, and we killed off the V-Star. And now both players have 1 prize remaining. They got no attackers on the bench, except possibly Clefairy. But I don't think they can do a boss and that many switches in a single time, in a single turn, including the energy recycler. So that's all. They just conceded. We won the game. And now we're up against a Mew VMAX. So Mew VMAX with Meloetta is really crazy, because I don't know, I have no idea why it's so overpowered. Meloetta is doing 280 damage, like 280 max damage for a bloody 1 prize. Can you believe it? A 1 prize card. They're really forcing people to play boss in their attack, because if you don't play enough bosses, you're forced to knock out a Meloetta for 1 prize, and they can actually spread their Fusion Strike energy and play a second Meloetta for 210 damage doing Melodious Echo. If they have 3 Fusion Strike energy in play, they get to do 210 damage for their second Meloetta, which is essentially the same thing as Cross Fusion Strike, Technoblast. So Meloetta is just crazy. Escape Rope though is gonna help you get either a VMAX or a Genesect knockout. So I don't think it's too bad. We have 1 Escape Rope, 2 Serenas. I would prefer playing 3 Serena, but we don't really have the space for it. Okay, we're gonna get a Gardevoir and an Unown. Don't we already have an Unown? Okay, we don't have an Unown. I don't think we should be playing Unown though, because they have Power Tablet. They have Power Tablet to basically kill anything. But they only are able to play 4 copies though. So if they choose to play Power Tablet for Drapion, then they have a lot less. They have only 3 copies left for Unown. If they use all of them for Unown, we have that 1 rod to shove back our Drapion to recycle it another time. And then all we need is to play Sudden Eater enough times. We can even do Star Rondo to target the same Mew VMAX on the bench and basically knock it out with our second Mawile. So all we need is 2 Drapion with the rod and then double Mawile to kill off a Mew VMAX. But I don't think we can play double Mawile because they are doing a one-hit knockout every single turn. So I think we should be I don't know. We should be able to tank enough damage to prevent a knockout eventually because we have Gardevoir early. That means if they don't deal with the Gardevoir with the boss, they're gonna have to pull out their Power Tablet every single turn. And if they use it for their first 2 knockouts, for their first 2 V knockouts, the next one is gonna be a lot more tanky and they can't actually knock it out with the Power Tablets anymore. So for example, if we have Mawile VSTAR with Gardevoir and Lake Acuity, they actually need 300 damage. That means they need 2 Power Tablets to knock it out. Well, they need 3 Power Tablets. My bad. Either 2 Power Tablet with a Choice Belt or 3. So if they play a Choice Belt, they can actually knock out the Drapion without the Power Tablet. So it's still quite possible. My bad. Mew VMAX is just broken, isn't it? We have 2 Serena, so it should be quite easy for us to kill the Mew VMAX with the Drapion on the bench if they, you know, have a Genocide in the active. Or like a Meloetta, my bad. Probably a Meloetta, right? They do have a Choice Belt. Oh my goodness. It's just crazy. So much damage. 240 damage for 2 energy for a double turbo. They got 220. If they do double turbo though, it's not enough because we have Gardevoir's defense buff. That means they need 230 damage at least. We're not playing Cape of Toughness. We're not playing Big Charm. We have instead Leafy, Camo, Poncho, and that means we're not tanking a lot of damage actually. No V-Guard energy as well. I would love to play V-Guard though. Like, this deck just doesn't give the space for it. If you can remove a Bidoof or something like that to play an extra copy, then go for it because V-Guard has a lot of value. If you attach it to your Drapion, you take 30 less damage from Mew VMAX. If you attach it to your Unown VSTAR, you can actually tank a lot more damage and prevent the knockout hit because they need like 320 damage to kill off the Unown. If you have both Gardevoir, Acuity, all 3 actually, if you have all 3 in play, V-Guard energy attached to your Unown, that means they need 320 damage in total to knock it out with 1 hit. And if they don't knock it out with 1 hit, on the next turn you can retreat. And Leafy, Camo, Poncho means you're stuck on the bench. They can't do a boss. We have a Manaphy to prevent them from, you know, damaging it on the bench. If they play Sableye though, if they do damage counters on the Unown VSTAR, they can still knock it out with effects of attacks. So it's not perfect obviously, but we do have a lot of ways to get around the knockout. Okay, we're gonna evolve the VSTAR right now. I'm not sure if we should be using Unown at all because they have Power Tablet. We should have been wiser for this game and just done Mawile instead of... We should have benched the Mawile instead of the Unown. And then go for Sudden Eater, you know, Turbo Attack, 160 damage in the game. They have no Oricorio as well. So we don't really need to worry too much about the weakness. We don't really need Unown VSTAR's attack, Star Cipher. So we're not attacking with any other attacks that Unown have, but we can actually use Victory Symbol though. The basic has a Victory Symbol attack that actually helps you win the game if you have 1 prize remaining, which is a very cool effect. A never before seen effect, kind of like Slowbro, but not kind of like it as well. Because Slowbro is a different sort of condition. If your opponent has 1 prize remaining, you get to draw 2 prizes with that attack. Whereas for this, for Unown, you actually get to win the game if you have 1 prize remaining. So it's kind of a different sort of strategy, isn't it? But it has this, you know, same kind of flavor, I guess. Very quirky, interesting strategy, I would say. Fun gameplay. Slowbro decks are always super fun. Like, if you can fit in a Slowbro in your deck, it would be super, super cool. So right now, they got a Fusion Strike Energy and a Double Turbo attached to the Mew. Is that a Double Turbo? Yep. So that means they're not doing a knockout, though, without the Choice Belt. I'm not sure what happened to the Choice Belt. Didn't they have it attached just now? Oh, we knocked it out. We knocked out the first Mew. My bad. We knocked out the first Mew. That means they need to dig out for their next Choice Belt. Or like 2 Power Tablets to knock out the Drapion. And they just did a boss again on the Unown. People are not aware of Camo Poncho, I guess. Which is really weird. So, Escape Rope. We're just gonna put forth the Mawile. We should be putting forth the Gardevoir, though. I'm not sure if we should be doing the Gardevoir, because it's actually helping us a lot. I guess we should be doing Bibarel, because we don't really need... If Drapion survives this turn, we don't need a draw support for the next. And that means we should really be sacrificing our Bibarel. And they just did a second Escape Rope. We're gonna put Bibarel right now. And then bench a second Bidoof. We have 4 copies of Bidoof for this deck, so we should be able to bench the next one. And then we have an extra turn to basically do nothing, because we got 0 energy cost for our Drapion. That means we got another strike to knock out the VMAX. If they attack with it this turn, because they can't boss it right now. Unless if they do a cross switcher, they can't actually deal with the Drapion on the bench. And that means on the next turn, we have basically a free space to, what do you call that? Some freedom to bench a basic Pokemon and then pass the turn only doing an attack, not drawing cards into our hand. And then after that, we can draw with Bibarel all over again. Cram-O-Matic. Cram-O-Matic for Power Tablet, I guess. Choice Belt. Cross Switcher is gonna be gnarly, though. They already did Escape Rope. I'm not sure if they retreated yet, because they can still do a Cross Switcher retreat with the Mew. So, if they knock out the Drapion, we have our Bibarel. I think we should be fine. But we have nothing to attack with on the next turn. We are forced to play Unown VSTAR and hope they don't knock it out with the Power Tablets. They just played the tablet, though. They just wasted a tablet, expecting to kill the Unown with the boss, I guess. I'm not too sure. And they did 200 damage with Max Miracle, I guess. I'm not sure what attack they used. Because Techno Blast is doing 210, right? Unless if they discarded the Power Tablet, I don't think they're doing 200 damage with Techno Blast. $190 with the Double Turbo. I'm not sure how they're doing 200 damage. Probably Max Miracle, like I have no idea, honestly. We're gonna do Dynamic Tail a second time, collecting another 2 prize against a Mew VMAX deck. It's just crazy. It's so easy to win against a Mew now. We got exact damage though. 190 is exactly enough to kill off Genesect. If they don't play Orico Rio, you got just enough damage to knock out another V Pokemon on the bench for 2 prize. Even if you are not doing a VMAX knockout, at least you got a Genesect kill, which is gonna earn you 2 prize nonetheless, which is still a pretty good deal. So every Drapion deck, if you can fit in a Drapion, make sure you fit in a Rod as well, so they can cycle that card and use it again a second time or even a third if you're lucky. And for this game, apparently we can actually use it a 3rd time, unless if we have the Rod stuck in the remaining 1 prize. If that one final prize is a Rod, which is very unlikely, I don't think it's that likely, we wouldn't be able to play another Drapion. We have enough turns to kill the second Mew VMAX though, with Double Eater. If we play Star Rondo, we can actually drag it out into the active as well. We can pull out the Mew VMAX on the bench and then deal with it with our second Mawile. So I think we actually won the game quite easily. No Oricorio means 2 hit is enough without the Melanie. We have no choice belt for this game, so we're only doing 160 with Sudden Eater and a lot less with Oricorio in play. 140 is not enough to kill, even if we don't have a double turbo attached to the next one. Well, if we have no double turbo for the next one though, oh, we're only doing 160 because of the Oricorio. So 140 plus 160 is still not enough. We need the choice belt after all. But we are not playing choice belt just because we want to be focusing on Unown's V-Star attack. We want to be using Star Cipher and then protecting Unown with those defense buff and the tool card as well, denying them from doing a boss for the knockout, and that means Unown gets to stay in play for a long time for you to use his ability to knock out their Pokemon with Psychic Weakness. And that means we get to do so much more damage with Mawile, and that is the main strategy for this deck. That's why we are not playing Choice Belt. Okay, we got VIP on the first turn, which is grand. And here comes a a Dracozolt deck. A Dracozolt, which is a tanky, VMAX. And they are playing full face guard. That means we need 2 basic energy on Mawile. We actually have a V guard for this game, which is pretty cool. We only are playing 1 copy of Stadium. We only have a Stadium, and we have no worker. We have no worker for this game, which is really risky. I did not realize that until playing a lot of games, and I realized that, eventually I got matched up against decks that play Path to the Peak. And if they play that Stadium, you need a lot more Stadium in your deck. You need a lot more ways to remove it from play, because we are using ability to turn our opponent's Pokemon's weakness into Psychic. Unown is using its ability. If it's not an ability, it cannot actually work. It's not an ongoing effect, is it? For it to be an ongoing effect, it has to be an ability. So I guess it makes sense. We're gonna attach our water energy and wait for the Bibarel. So this game is quite slow because we are trying to find the best. It is still like the experimental build, and we are still trying to find the best ratios and the right number of cards to fit into the deck. I don't think we have that many Bidoof. We're only playing 3 copies of Bidoof and not that many Ultra Balls as well. That's why we'll see that we can't actually evolve the Unown that early. We should be evolving it fast though. So eventually we fitted in 4 Ultra Balls and 2 Incense for us to evolve not just the Bibarel but also our Mawile VSTAR and Unown VSTAR. Unown needs to evolve fast for us to use the attack early, and if we do it early, we can avoid the knockout on the next turn and then retreat, Camo, Poncho, stay on the bench, safe. Hide safely on the bench. So we have V-Guard energy. That means we're taking 50 less damage with our Unown. Even if they do a boss, they can't knock it out. So Dracozolt is not doing a lot of damage. So we can, stay safe for a few turns. It's a bit ridiculous though, the way they gave us nothing for so many turns. You'll see that this game is very unlucky. We got so unlucky for this game. I mean, we are playing enough cards though. It's not like we're playing only 2 Ultra Balls. We have 3 Ultra Balls and 2 Incense, 3 Bidoof, 3 Bibarel, 2 Unown VSTAR. We have a Marnie, we have 2 Melanie. I think we have 3 Melanie, I'm not too sure now. 1 or 2 Serena. So even if we don't get our supporter, we should be getting Bibarel, like at least 1 copy. Like, come on. It just makes no sense. Okay, we got the Bibarel at long last. We're gonna discard the Drapion. We don't need the Drapion. 4 energy. We can't actually attach that fast. If we do double turbo, we're doing a lot less damage, and they are healing with Cheryl. They're doing Lucky Eyes Pop. I don't think it makes sense for us to play Drapion at all. Okay, we're gonna do Leafy, Camo, Poncho, and then draw with Bibarel. And they just played a Path. They do have a Path to the Peak. and we played our first stadium to remove the path. We didn't realize that Path to the Peak is locking not just Gardevoir's ability, but also Unown, our Unown V-Star later on in the game, which is gonna destroy this, our combo a lot, because without the ability, we're not hitting for the weakness. No Unown V-Star, no second Bibarel, we're basically screwed. We're just gonna discard the Unown and get Mawile into the game. Should possibly be getting another Bibarel though. Another Bidoof. So let's just shuffle back the V-Star. Okay, this is a weird list. I don't think we have that many Mawile V-Star. We're only playing 2 copies of the Evolution and 3 copies of the basic Mawile, which is a lot riskier because if you get it prized, I don't think you can attack that many times. So I prefer 3 copies of Mawile V-Star, which is, inside the list, which is the final upgrade of the list. You'll see that in the description below, we actually do have 3 copies for the final version. And 3 is a lot safer because that means even if you have 1 prize, even if you have 1 inside the prize card, you can still attack with 2. You can switch around between 2 before it gets knocked out. We can still tank a lot of damage. So we essentially have 280 HP thanks to our Gardevoir. That means Mawile can possibly survive 1 hit at least each time it attacks. Unless if they do like a Mew VMAX for the knockout. So as I said, Power Tablet is limited though. They can only play Power Tablet that many times. Choice Belt Power Tablet is not quite enough though, is it? Because that's 270 damage. They need 2 Power Tablets with the Choice Belt to kill the Mawile with Gardevoir. Okay, Melanie. The math is just perfect though, isn't it, for this game? Like 210 damage for Mew VMAX is basically, it's kind of, I don't know, mathematical perfection. Because that means they can't actually do a knockout against V-Stars that easily. Okay. We made a mistake of attaching the tool card. I thought we haven't retreated yet. We wanted to actually retreat to the Bidoof and save the Gardevoir, but we forgot that we did the retreat already. We retreated to Unown already, and we just got really frustrated for not getting the V-Star out. Like, we should be getting the Unown V-Star by now, but they're just not giving us the V-Star. Only 1 Ultra Ball and nothing else. 24 cards left in the deck. They got a second Dracozolt and a full face guard on each of the VMAXs in play. That means we need either 2 hits to kill the first Dracozolt, and then a Melanie to kill off the second one with a 1-hit knockout, or a double Melanie with our Mawile. I don't think we have that many Melanies anymore. We played 1 and we may have the other prized, so we should not be attaching the double turbo. We should be playing water energy on the second Mawile. So I think we should be possibly discarding the energy with the quick ball. I don't know what to do here. You never know if they're playing Crushing Hammers or Fan of Wave. So I feel like we should be doing the double turbo on the same Mawile. If we attach it onto the same Mawile, I think we're safe. Oh, we actually do have a second Stadium. And we did not realize how important that Stadium card is. Do not discard your Stadium card. Like, come on. If you discard your Stadium card, Path to the Peak is gonna completely destroy you. I know I'm repeating that. I know I'm saying that way too many times, but it's so important. It's very, very important. If you can't get past Path to the Peak, you're done for. You cannot afford to waste your Stadium cards. Do not make that stupid mistake. And I just did for this game, apparently. Which is really dumb. We're gonna play a Marnie and hope to get the V-Star with 19 cards left in the deck, and we're drawing 5 right now, and they are still not giving us the V-Star. You'll see that. Look at that. No Incense, no Ultra Ball. Apparently we priced a lot of our items, or possibly like one of the V-Star, and you know, in addition to the Incense, maybe, because we're just not getting anything. We got 1 Ultra Ball for the Bibarel, but that's it. So we are forced to retreat again. So they have 3 prize remaining. We have no choice but to do Sudden Eater. We have to attack with Mawile right now. If we don't, we're dead. So Escape Rope is gonna help us deny them the damage counters. If they place 12 damage counter on Mawile with Spark Trap, that means all they need is 200 damage to collect the knockout. So we can't actually give them that. We have to play the Escape Rope right now. We have to avoid the 12 damage counters from the Spark Trap. If they play a Cheryl, it would be quite terrible. Let's hope they don't heal everything with 1 Lucky Ice Pop. Thank God. We just need like 20 damage though. If we have 2 damage counter on the active, I think it's enough to kill it off with our double turbo Mawile. After doing Star Cipher, obviously. But we need another turn though. We need another turn, hoping they don't play their heal cards on the next. We did play a Marnie though, so we have a Marnie for this game instead of Worker. Sometimes Marnie is gonna help you a lot more than Worker. I don't know. I prefer Worker because it's safer to play. You know, more of your Stadium Deniers. Stadium Denial. We should be attaching the water on the second Mawile. I don't know what I'm doing. We have the Melanie, I guess, so we should be okay. Oh, we're doing a Melanie. I see. We're gonna do a Melanie this turn. So that's the reason. And we finally got our Ultra Ball with the Melanie. Goodness gracious. 10 cards left in the deck. And here comes the Unown. Way too late. Way too fucking late. 2 prize left on our opponent's side. They have 2 prize remaining. Oh, 3 prize, my bad. I thought they have 2 prize. Sorry about that. We have 60 damage on our Mawile on the bench. That means all they need is a boss and then a switch to do I forgot the attack. Max Thunder Rumble. It's not Thunder Rumble. That's Jolteon, my bad. Max something to kill off the Mawile on the bench. Drawing 2 prize, and that means they just need another boss to deal with the Bibarel. So let's hope they don't get their switch cards. They only have 5 cards in their hand anyways. They're probably gonna play more heal cards than not. If they heal the 10 damage counters, we're done for. We just need 2 damage counter though, as I said. Because that means we need 330 damage. Oh, we need 3 damage counter, my bad. We need 3 damage counter on the Dracozolt. If we want to kill it off with our Sudden Eater, because we are only doing 320 damage with the double turbo. 320 is not quite enough because they have a full face guard. That means we need 3 damage counters on the active. If they heal with a Hyper Potion, we're done for. If they heal with Hyper Potion though, they can't attack on the same turn, so... There is the new Emergency Jelly for Dracozolt, but if you do that, you can't actually tank enough damage with it. If you play Gardevoir on the bench, they're probably gonna just boss knock it out before you get to Jelly. If you play Jelly first with the Gardevoir, and then after that do a full face guard, you may be able to do the recovery while playing the full face guard for later. But I don't think it works though, because if you attach the tool card and if your Gardevoir gets knocked out, then you can't actually you can't actually boost its defense on the next turn. You're gonna have to play like Lost Vacuum or Tool Scrapper to discard your own tool card and then reattach a new full face guard. Okay, we got a capture and water energy attached to our second Mawile. I think we should be good. So we're doing 360 damage with our second Mawile because we are not, we don't have a double turbo attached to it. So that means we're not doing 40 less damage. because we are hitting the weakness, and that means doing 20 less damage before applying weakness, we are doing 40 less. So double turbo is quite bad for Mawile. That's why we're playing Melanie, not just for Unown to attack fast. If we get it early game, if we get to discard our water as well, because we're not playing Greninja, we're playing Gardevoir instead. That means we may not be able to discard our water energy that easily. But if we are lucky enough, we can actually play Melanie for Unown, for early knockouts, for early V-Star generation, for us to use the ability fast, for us to gain the ability fast, so that we get to use Mawile's attack on the next turn, to double up Mawile's attack power. And then possibly play the next Melanie for our second or third Mawile, to do another Sudden Eater for 360 damage. Okay. Now we're up against a what's it called again? A Glaceon V-Star deck. So Glaceon V-Star has the Crystal Star attack that actually prevents all damage and effects of attacks done to this Pokemon on your opponent's next turn. That means if you don't play Escape Rope or Boss, Serena, you can't actually get past the Glaceon. They are playing a Water Box with Frosmoth. So Frosmoth, Glaceon makes a lot of sense, but they are doing a lot of other water Pokemons as well. They got Kingler VMAX, they got Starmie. Obviously, Starmie is a good card to add for any water decks, honestly, because if they play Arceus V-Star, Starmie is going to give you a very big knockout for only 2 energies. And it can also do Swift to deal with Miltank decks. Miltank cannot get past Starmie's Swift because it ignores all effects on your opponent's active Pokemon, and that means you get to do 50 raw damage on the Miltank. It's only 50 though, that means you need 3 strikes to kill off 1 Miltank, which is quite terrible. But it still is at least a few damage on the game, in the game, for you to possibly knock it out with a Manaphy later. If you have a Manaphy on the bench, you can do Rain Splash to collect the knockout after doing 2 hits with your Starmie on the Miltank. If your Starmie survives though. If it doesn't survive, then at least you get to kill a V Pokemon on the next turn. Because they can't actually kill off the Starmie with a Miltank. It's not possible. Not even with Powerful and Choice Belt, I don't think. So we got so many cards, so many basic Pokemons in the price. And the reason we are choosing not to play the Heavy Ball is because we know they are, you know, doing a heavy attack cost card. But we weren't expecting a Frosmoth. So we may actually be needing our second Unown if they do a boss early. If they boss the Unown early and knock it out, we actually need to bench the second one. If we bench the second one though, we have the extra risk of getting bossed later in the game. You know, if we don't need it, then on the next turn, we're gonna get another 2 prize knockout. They're gonna get another 2 prize knockout, my bad. And that means they have 2 prize drawn, another 2 prize. It's gonna, you know, it's gonna hurt us a lot if we can't evolve the second Unown. So you never really know what's the best thing to do. Heavy Ball is quite a terrible card, but if you have way too many basic Pokemons prized, you should be getting at least 1 out. So we're gonna play Serena to draw 5 cards right now. I don't think we should be bothered about Melanie too much. So this is the earliest, the very first build of my Unown V-Star with Mawile combo. And when I first built this deck, we have 3 Melanies. 3 copies of Melanie to help us attack fast with Star Cipher, I guess. But I don't think it works that well, because Melanie requires water energy in the discard pile. And that means you need a lot more basic water in the deck. You need a lot more Ultra Ball, Quick Ball for you to discard. You need Greninja as well to help you discard it fast and easy. We are playing Gardevoir, that means no Greninja, so I don't think it warrants that many copies of Melanie. 2 copies should be enough, and here comes another Melanie. So I'm not sure if we should be playing a second Bibarel, because that actually helps us draw more cards, possibly getting a switch. And let's just discard the Mawile. I'm not sure if we have a rod for this list, for this game. I don't think so. We have a third copy though inside of, you know, it's not priced. We know that because we just checked the price with our heavy ball. So we should be fine discarding that Mawile, even without the rod. Let's hope we get our switch and double turbo. We got it. We got the switch double turbo, and that means we're doing Star Cipher on this turn. And let's hope we get to survive one hit. I don't think they can do a one-hit knockout unless if they evolve into a Frosmoth and then play a crazy card that does a one-hit knockout. For a water deck, I don't think a water deck has that. Oh, okay. I think the reason we chose not to switch is because they have the Glaceon. Glaceon V-Star has an attack that actually prevents you from retreating. So if you can't retreat on your next turn, we actually need to play the switch, another switch, to get Unown out of the active. So Glaceon is very tricky because they are denying your active from retreating. If they do a boss, we have a Camo Poncho, so we should be fine. That means boss doesn't work on our Unown right now. So that's why we paused the turn not doing a switch. Because we need the switch for the next turn. For when, you know, for when they use their first attack to block us from retreating. Nessa. And they got no cards in their hand, but they are drawing a prize though. Icicle Shot, 180 damage, and you can't retreat on your next turn. Your opponent, my bad. Okay, we're just gonna attach the water energy onto the Mawile. We got the third V-Star. We're not able to play the Melanie, unfortunately. Let's hope we get like a quick ball to discard the water and bench the second Mawile. That would be really, really good. If we bench the Mawile though, they're probably gonna do a boss. So I'm not sure what to do, honestly. They should be targeting the Unown though, right? They should be targeting the Unown and then play a Tool Scraper boss. But if they know how the Camo Poncho works, I don't think they want to be attacking the Unown. Because if the moment Unown leaves play, if the one that you use the V-Star power with is knocked out, it has no ability anymore. The ability is gonna, you know, is gonna be removed from play, and that means your opponent's Pokemon is no longer weak to a Psychic type, and you're doing a lot less damage with your Mawile for only 2 energy, and that means you can't actually win that easily, unless if you have drawn enough prizes before they kill your Unown. So they did a Starmie, that means we don't need to waste our switch card. They didn't do Icicle Shot to deny us the retreat. Because apparently they know we have a switch card. Playing a Mawile V-Star, we should be playing a lot of switch cards in our deck. Star Rondo doesn't work though, because we already did our V-Star power. That means we can't use our ability anymore. Okay, we got Gardevoir to tank a lot more damage with our V-Star. And let's just do a 2-prize draw this turn. Now we are ahead of our opponent. Slightly ahead. Okay. We got the Manaphy against Greninja. We got our Unown on the bench safe. We got Gardevoir for the defense buff. I think we should be fine for this game. And here comes Kingler. I don't think they need bubbles galore anymore. So if you get Kingler early, and if you don't get your Frosmoth, you can do bubbles galore. If you get Frosmoth before the Kingler, you can do your Ice Dance. So it's kind of an interesting deck that we're seeing here. They could actually be playing both the Inteleons, the Rapid Strike and the normal one. Double Gunner is insane though, isn't it? Double Gunner for extra 2 damage counter on the bench. Okay, let's just play Bibarel. We need to switch right now. We need to retreat or switch. Let's just switch to the Unown and retreat. Oh my goodness. Oh, we can't actually attack. So they did Crystal Star, and that means we're not doing any damage on the Glaceon this turn. So let's just hide on the bench and hope they don't boss the Mawile without the Camo, without the Poncho. We're gonna Melanie back the Water Energy on the first V-Star and just pass a turn on the Air Balloon. We actually are playing 2 copies of Air Balloon for this list, which is kind of unnecessary because 1 Air Balloon is enough. You can actually think about, you can think about retreating with your first Mawile into your second copy if they haven't killed it yet, and that's actually giving you, or even retreating with a Manaphy, and that's giving you, extra damage with your Sudden Eater, helping you do 180 base with your without the weakness before applying the weakness with your Mawile. Because if you don't switch or retreat, you can't actually do 180 damage with your Sudden Eater. You need to do a switch. So we got Air Balloon, and now we're gonna kill off the Glaceon. We got our second V-Star. We should be fine for this game. We're just gonna Industrious Incisor. Let's play our second Mawile and deny them the knockout. They're probably gonna play Crushing Hammer or Fan of Waves, so that's the reason I attached the Water Energy. We should be keeping it in our hand though, but we have so many switch cards. I think we should be fine. Okay, here comes Kingler VMAX. Nothing can survive Unknown's Wrath, because we are doing 360 damage, and they just gave us the Temple of Sinnoh, and that means we are doing 20 more damage. We don't have the defense reduction, and so we're doing 360 damage with our Mawile. We made a terrible mistake of playing the Lake Acuity though. You'll see on the next turn we did Lake Acuity, which is quite silly, because they are playing a Water Energy. So Lake Acuity works on both players' side, on both players' field. If they have Water or Fighting Energy attached to their Pokemon, they are taking 20 less damage as well. So make sure you're aware of the Lake Acuity effect. If your opponent is playing Fighting or Water Energy, do not play your Stadium card. Unless if you can do the knockout anyways. We are doing the knockout anyways because 320 is enough. Sorry, 340 is actually enough even without the damage. If they don't do 30 damage to itself, it's still enough. Because Max Pinsir actually is a recoil attack. So that's all for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed. We'll see you next time. Have a great day and bye for now, lovely people! Enjoy your life!